Hello everyone, welcome to Movies with Michael, and this is my full review of John Wick Chapter 4, but if you haven't seen the latest John Wick sequel in theaters, go and watch it and then come back here to watch my review because this will be full of spoilers, so consider this your spoiler warning. After almost 4 years, John Wick Chapter 4 is finally here, and it is the longest film in the franchise. But despite being a 2-hour and 49-minute film, it definitely did not feel as long as it was. This gives the film time to draw out and put forward its production and action in all its glory. Instead of the quick and simple narratives that drove the first 3 films, John Wick Chapter 4 is the most complex film in the franchise. In addition, the film is blanketed with different color tones and a variety of filmmaking techniques. These combine to take the film back to the franchise's graphic novel roots. Now, each act in this film has its own action set piece, and each one is fantastic, but I think the best one is Act 1's Osaka Continental Defense, which pits Wick and the Osaka defenders against the Marquis' bodyguard and a garrison of high-table soldiers. The latter group is joined by Kane, played by Donnie Yen. This scene couldn't happen without the inclusion of a vast arsenal of weapons, katanas, knives, and nunchucks, bows, and arrows, and of course, guns.
Yeah.
This scene is long and shows each fighter's way of dealing with his or her opponents, almost always involving bulletproof suits or bullet-deflecting armor. The scene is a big homage to samurai/Japanese films and pop culture, with a little bit of 70s and 80s kung fu stylized action in there with the character of Kane. The second big action scene takes us to Germany, where John, Kane, and Nobody get into a deadly game in a mafia club headed by Killa. The scene quickly escalates into a full shootout, pitting John against Killa, running around the entire club. Actor and martial artist Scott Adkins makes Killa more than he appears, as he throws Wick around and pretty much wrecks him completely for the first half of their fight. After another long fight scene, featuring waterfalls in just the right spots, and backed by dramatic music, Wick adds another mafia leader to his kill count. This scene might just be the most John Wick out of every action scene in this film, given that it is a pretty big callback to the Red Circle Club shootout scene from the first film. The final fight sequence is long, violent, and awesome. Well, almost awesome. As Wick tries to make it to his duel on time, gang members, hungry for his rising bounty and guided by the radio, throw everything they have at the legendary hitman. This takes Wick through the streets of Paris into a shootout using cars as cover, and then into an abandoned building. The filmmakers easily could have filmed every action scene in this film the same way, but they decided to get in there and mix it up. This entire long take is from bird's eye view, and it puts the viewer in sort of a situation where they are the player playing the video game, and they're playing as Wick, and Wick is just destroying the hordes of enemies coming at him. And after he makes it out of this abandoned building, he gets to a big set of stairs with more enemies for him to fight. Now, in a movie that goes over the top a fair number of times, this was the one time where I wish they didn't. They made it way too long and way too drawn out and way too overly dramatic. And it didn't have to be that way. When Wick got to that set of stairs, Kane and Nobody should have come right away and joined him to fight the last set of enemies, and then he gets to his duel. But anyway, Wick finally gets to the area of single combat against the film's antagonist, the Marquis Vincent de Grenouille. Bill Skarsgård is able to create a villain that is a young, cocky, excessively wealthy, cruel, that you just hate. The Marquis is the weapon of the High Table against Wick, and he is given every single toy the High Table has for him to play with. It is a real shame that we didn't get to see him use his skills and actually show us that he's more than just someone using all the tools he has, and he can actually do something himself. Maybe in an alternate version of the film where we get to see the single combat with blades instead of guns, but that didn't happen. The Marquis is still the best villain in the franchise, and I know that isn't saying a lot, given that the first 2 films had pretty standard villains, and Parabellum didn't really have a main villain, but I thought I mentioned it still. The challenge of single combat brings in a bit of Western to the John Wick films, with the boogeyman John Wick against the blind, blade-wielding Kane. The Marquis' arrogance and foolish behavior gets the best of him as the loyalty between comrades wins out. Now, about John Wick dying at the end of the film, We do see his grave. We see Winston, the Bowery King, at his grave in New York, but when the Bowery King asks Winston, "Where do you think he is?" Winston's response hints to two things. One, either this is the end of the tale for John Wick, or that Baba Yaga is alive, finally free, and heading for the high table. John Wick Chapter 4 is an action film that is rare and valuable. It is able to give a bit of everything, whether it's a fight between modern samurai and knights or a one-on-one duel to the death. Reeves, Yen, McShane, Skarsgård, and the whole cast and crew deliver a fast-paced and full action adventure that goes too far but a few times. Nevertheless, John Wick Chapter 4 ends up being my favorite film in the franchise that I will give a 9 out of 10. And with that, we've made it to the end of another video. Thank you all for joining me today, and please remember to leave a like, comment down below what you thought about John Wick Chapter 4, and subscribe for more content about movies. That's all for now, and I'll see you all in the next video.